Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name's Elizabeth and I'm going to be talking today about the typical medication that's recommended for you if you have or have had thyroid cancer and some of the big problems that can arise. So after you are diagnosed with thyroid cancer, the typical route that one is sent down is a thyroidectomy or perhaps a partial thyroidectomy, and then maybe radioactive iodine, and then there will be medication. Now, here in the UK, and I believe most of the US, they will give you something called Levothyroxine, and it also goes by the name Synthroid in America. Now, this medication is a T4 medication. So the thyroid produces T4 and T3. T4 is about 80% of the output and less than 20% is typically T3. Now, we always hear about T4 being important. Most doctors will typically only test for TSH and T4 when they check your thyroid. But the interesting thing is T3 is actually the more important hormone. T3 is responsible for your energy, it's responsible for your brain function, your heart rate, your ability to burn fat. And what the job of T4 actually is to do is to be converted into T3. Obviously, if we're taking that T4 medication and it's being converted to the right amount of T3, everything's all good. The T3 then goes around the cells and does its job. But there's a percentage of the population who actually can't convert T4 to T3 very well. And I ended up being one of these people. So I was taking a T4 medication, I was taking levothyroxine, and although my TSH was suppressed, because after thyroid cancer, the goal is to suppress the TSH, I'm going to speak about that next. But I started to get lots of strange symptoms. I was getting severe joint pain, I was shaking, I just stopped going to the toilet, so I was totally constipated. I was absolutely exhausted and I was freezing cold. And I said to my partner, this is something to do with T3, something's not happening correctly. So why might we have trouble converting T4 to T3? So one of the reasons we might have trouble is we may have a sluggish liver. We may have a poor diet. It could be that our adrenal glands are really struggling. That's related to the HPA axis, and I'm going to be coming back to that in a second. We could have blood sugar imbalances, and we could also have vitamin and mineral deficiencies. So if we're not really looking at our whole body and our whole terrain, we wouldn't know that. So some people are going to be taking that T4 medication and it's going to be converting to T3 and it's going to work. Some of us were going to run into some problems. So what did I do about that? I went and I got a comprehensive blood panel, a comprehensive thyroid panel. And I'm going to list the tests that you actually need in the description underneath. So what tests do you want to go and ask for? TSH, free T4, free T3, reverse T3. Now that is really helpful because it can tell us if there is a conversion problem. We want to look at the thyroglobulin antibody, that's helpful for detecting Hashimoto's, and we want to look at the thyroid peroxidase antibody. So reverse T3 is just an inactive form of T3. So if we have a high level of reverse T3 on our blood test, we're able to see that the T4 is not actually getting converted into the hormone T3 that we actually need. Reverse T3 blocks the cell and doesn't allow T3 to actually talk to the cell. How would you know if reverse T3 could be a problem for you? Well, you'll have exactly the same signs and symptoms as if you're hypothyroid. You'll feel exhausted, sluggish, no energy. You'll probably feel cold. You might lose some of your hair. You may struggle with your digestion. It's going to look exactly the same. And typically what will happen is someone will request that their T4 dose is increased, but that's actually not what needs to be done. What actually needs to be done is that person needs to take a little bit of T3. Now, along with taking the T3, it's important to then look at some of those factors. So looking at why our liver might be sluggish. So looking at our alcohol intake, looking at how many toxic products we have around us. Do we use a lot of Do we use a lot of beauty products that aren't clean? Do we have a lot of plastic in our homes? Are we drinking clean water? It's also helpful to look at our stress levels, how we sleep, the type of quality of food we eat. Are we over-exercising? Are we under-exercising? There's a really, really big piece there, whether you have had thyroid cancer or not, at looking at why have I got a reverse T3 problem, a T4 to T3 conversion problem, and then in the meantime, taking that little bit of T3 to help bolster your body. So where can you get T3 from? I believe in America, you can ask your doctor for it. I don't live in America, so I can't confirm that. If somebody does know, please put that in the comments so we know. For me here, I had to go to a private GP, which is where I ran those blood tests. The NHS won't run a full thyroid panel for you. And typically the full thyroid panel won't have the antibodies and won't have the reverse T3. So that's what you really need to ask for. But I had to go to a private GP and I had to purchase the T3. And then I had to play around with my dose so that I could get my blood tests in the optimal range. So what benefits have I seen from taking T3? Loads. I sleep better, my body temperature is more stable. I was ice cold, now I'm in a healthy body temperature range, which shows that my metabolic activity is correct. I started going to the toilet properly. I felt energized. I was able to get up in the morning. So I had an instant improvement and have continued to take that and will always now take T3 unless I can find a way to really, really improve that conversion rate for me. Now, there is a second thing that has come up recently for me with my blood tests, and I want to share it now because I'm about to start this stage of my journey. I've been tracking my hormones for a little while, and I could see that even though I have actually healed stage 4 adrenal fatigue, so I had stage 4 adrenal fatigue, worked it all the way back to being gone, what I noticed that after my thyroidectomy, my adrenal function, my energy levels, my hormones steadily started to decline. And I track all of these in a spreadsheet. So I've been watching them and I've been tweaking parts of my lifestyle to stop this. And what was really interesting was nothing was happening at all. And on my most recent blood test, I could see that my testosterone had completely bottomed out. It's far too low, particularly of someone of my age. And testosterone is really, really important for women, even though everybody talks about it as being a male hormone. It's actually super important for us as women. But what I could also see was my cortisol was just not being produced anymore by my adrenals, showing that they were over depleted, and yet I'd done everything before to heal them. And so I came up with a theory, and I looked into it, and I believe that because when we have thyroid cancer, to stop there being a regrowth of the thyroid cancer, our TSH is kept suppressed, so that pushes us into being hyperthyroid. Because there is a link between the thyroid and the adrenal glands, by pushing pressure up on the thyroid, we're actually placing more stress on the adrenal glands as well. So even though I'm trying to support my adrenals are struggling because my body thinks it's hyperthyroid. And the HPA axis affects absolutely everything. It's linked to the gut, and it's also linked to the liver as well. So I went to a doctor and I presented this theory and said, I think that I'm going to be unable to heal my hormone problems and my HPA axis problems if I'm so heavily suppressed on this medication. Now, you may be watching and thinking, okay, we'll just lighten up your medication. But that then leads to the possibility of a reoccurrence or a growth of cancerous activity. Now, I currently can't find any robust research that shows that suppressing TSH is actually effective at preventing reoccurrence. I'm still looking. If I find it, I'm going to link it below this video. So for now, I am not prepared yet to lower my dose, but I am considering in a few months lowering my dose. So what am I going to do in the meantime? Because my energy levels are really starting to bottom out. I've noticed my skin is thinning. I have absolutely no libido left whatsoever. I have decided that I'm going to take some bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. So I'll be taking a small amount of testosterone and a small amount of progesterone to see if giving my body that little bit of help can allow my hormones to sort of start talking to each other properly again, because they're all interlinked. And also if that will take a little bit of pressure off my adrenal glands so that they're able to create a more appropriate and healthier stress response. My lifestyle, I eat a hormone healthy diet. I take all the appropriate supplements. So at this point, the doctor did agree with me that there is no real other option left for me. It's either lighten up the medication or try some hormones. So I wanted to put that out here right now. I've never ever taken a bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. I am essentially using myself as a test because I work with lots of people who have hormone problems, lots of people who have issues with fatigue and issue with the HPA axis, and I have always been able to help them remedy it and support them through it. But it seems that this time, because of the interesting way that thyroid cancer is managed, it's now showing other problems in my body. So I want to share that. If you are a few years into your thyroid cancer journey and you're feeling exhausted, not quite right, low libido, or anything that could be hormonal, it actually could be really beneficial to do a hormone panel and see what's happening. And this is also a reminder, if you don't get regular blood tests, to maybe go and take one, because I have spoken to a few people who never have their bloods checked. They've never had their medication altered. They really have no idea what they're taking or why. So I hope this video made sense. It's a lot of science thrown into it, but I feel the need to share just in case someone is sitting out there who also has a reverse T3 issue. So if you're not converting and you had no idea that you could look into this. I am going to update, so when I get my bioidentical hormones, I will update on what dosage I'm going to take, and I'm going to update on how this actually changes my testing and how this changes my energy levels. So if you got to the end of the video and you want to know a little bit more about my thyroid cancer journey, you can watch my first video where I tell you about my diagnosis, and you can also watch my second video where I talk about why I accepted a thyroidectomy but declined the radiation and follow-up treatment. If you have any questions, you can drop them below and I'll come back and answer them, because it is really hard speaking to yourself in a camera and making sure you get all the information across concisely. And I do also have a freebie which I've linked below, which is 5 supplements to stop cancer cells now. So you can click on that and you can get it to your inbox if you want to take some supplements to support your journey. All right, thanks so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye.